telling, girl, that was a crazy fight.
I'm super excited. It was really tough. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was definitely a different ball game, but I had a blast, so thank you.
It was such a crazy pace. How did you keep that up?
I only have one speed, and that's 150% at all times. So speed is, I live speed and aggression, so I was ready for it.
Well, just like the intro video depicts, last week was a tough week, and I had quite a battle with a couple of my swing trades. You guys know what they were, AMD and Nvidia. I'm going to talk about them today. I'm going to talk about the general market. We're going to go back to trade disciplines and review how to take a losing trade, turn it perhaps into a winner, and how to avoid losing trades. Plus, I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek of what I think Apple might be telling us about the market ahead. I think you're going to love it. This is the Stocks with Josh show. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for hitting the like. Thank you for subscribing. And yeah, you know, I felt just like that gal going round to round, giving 150% and coming out a little bit bruised. I know that some of you guys are in that same spot. We're going to dive into it and make some sense of it today. And just like one of the technical points I brought up in my last video, the first 4 days of November are sometimes the strongest days, and the market's been having an incredible rally. But I want to take a pause, and I heard something said the other day in the Discord, and it was a comment that it was a comment about technicals. The comment specifically was that technicals are only right 60% of the time. Now, I wanted to chime in and give my opinion on that. Technicals are always right, but our interpretation is often only 60% accurate because none of us have mastered the charts. They're a deep web of intricate and intersecting ideas that take a lot of time to study. And on that note, after a successful beginning to my swing trades at the beginning of last week, I was making 10K on Monday, around 8K on Tuesday. Going into Wednesday, I decided to load up on calls going into earnings to play the earnings because I thought that AMD would have a nice bounce. And you can see that it's had an incredible bounce. But when they came out with mixed results and they had a flash down, I felt relieved to get out of them with a small profit the following morning and began to look for a reversal scenario, which I did not spend enough time looking at the charts to confirm that we had entered into a bearish moment. But I had this bias towards the play. It really was a fundamental decision, not a technical decision. And then we saw that this thing went from a Wednesday low of $94 up to a Friday high of $113. In just a couple days, it went up over 21%, which is extremely uncharacteristic of the stock. This would be referred to technically as a change of character in the charts. And to be clear, this bullish momentum has not come to an end. And so here's what I want to point out to you guys. We've pushed up to $113 at market close Friday. Now, it's actually possible that this thing could go on to 116 and on to 120. Now, I'm in puts at close on Friday because I believe that we have to come down to at least 109 to test that level before going higher. And so that's basically my trade setup at the moment. I'm looking to ride some puts down, some 54-cent puts. I'm looking to ride them down to $1. I'm looking to get 100% gain for a back test of 109. Now I'll have to watch that 109 level to see if it breaks down. If it continues to break down, then we could see going all the way back to 106 and eventually back to 102. But we do have to acknowledge that AMD has had a major breakout and it could continue to trend higher, defying some of the negative earnings, defying the market, and we could actually be moving on to all-time highs right now with AMD. And so we need to recognize that at this point moving forward, going into this week, we're looking for confirmation. Now, I'm going to share with you guys my updates, and I'm going to share with you guys my receipts of whether or not this trade turns out to be a complete loss or whether I make money. I will give you guys an update, I promise. But all of this has caused me to review my trade disciplines, and that's what I want to review with you guys today because this doesn't have to be that hard. Just like the boxer who got her face smashed in, you don't need to come out of every match looking that way. You can come out winning without looking destroyed. And so I'm going to review 4 basic rules with you. The first one, and you guys have heard it 100 times, don't go against the trend. In the AMD trade, it got bullish on Wednesday morning, and I was looking for entry on puts rather than just happily riding my calls to the top. So don't go against the trend. And then number 2, You've got to manage your risk by managing your position size. Don't ever get into a trade under a wrong conviction going against the trend and continue to try to add to your position size to make it right. Number 3, use a stop loss. Now, I use a stop loss on my trades, and I had stop losses on my trade, but even though I had a stop loss, every time we got to a higher level of resistance, I re-added my puts when I should have just been scaling my calls. I did use a stop loss on this trade, but I continued to go against the trend. And then number 4, I think the biggest problem I had with this trade was I was revenge trading. When it didn't go the direction I thought it was, I kept trying to figure out how to get it to go the direction that I thought it should go. Trying to go against the trend, you can only be right one time, but you can be wrong over and over and over and over again. So be aware of that. So those are our 4 disciplines in regards to swing trading. My number 1 recommendation for anybody who's trying to learn the discipline of swing trading is to keep a journal. If you book a loss, you've got to put it down. You can put it in your phone. You can put it on paper and pen, but write down the date, write down the amount you lost, and write down which of those 4 reasons I just gave you was the main reason, or maybe there's 2 of those reasons together were something that you did wrong. Maybe you went against the trend, your position size was too big, and you then revenge traded it. You've got to get to the point where you are eliminating some of those problems from your trading. Guys, it's an emotional problem. We know that to be the case. We get our emotions tied in. The technicals are always right, but sometimes we are not interpreting them correctly. All right, guys, on that note, what stocks am I looking at moving into this week? Well, just watch this clip with me and then I'll tell you.
It's probably too early to ask you, but I have to ask you, if you could choose another opponent for your next fight, who might it be?
Woo! Yeah, I want whoever they put in front of me. Whoever they put in front of me, I'm ready to go. I got to heal up a little bit, so I'm kind of focused on that. Go home and spend some time with my kids, eat some donuts. But whoever they put in front of me, I'm ready for. Like, that's it. It's my job to do that.
So, who is my next opponent? What is my next swing trade? Well, the one I've been spending the most time on and the one that I got back into recently here was Apple. I've been focused on Apple because the chart is interesting, and as I've said many times, however Apple goes, that's how the market tends to follow, and Apple is setting up interestingly. It's showing me something in the chart, and I'm going to show it to you guys. If you remember, I called it a buy after the bad earnings, and I said that it was going to put in a higher low, and that's what I am watching for on Apple. We bounced off of $169. We came back above a critical level of support of $173, and I mentioned in that video, I said we want to see it close end of day back above $173 on Friday, and it did that. And so I believe there's still bullish momentum to the upside. The target is 180. And if you look carefully at the chart with me, what you see is that Apple could be forming an inverse head and shoulders pattern with the neckline at 180. Now, so far, it's formed one shoulder and possibly the head. If we were to come back to a key level of support and make a higher low and we were to bounce, we would then come back to 180, could break above 180 and begin to move up higher to 190 and 195. That's what I'm seeing in Apple, and if I'm right, it means we're going to have some selling pressure sometime in the next couple weeks, but ultimately the markets are going to rally, pushing Apple back up closer to its all-time high. That's what we might be seeing set up in the Apple chart. Now, some of you guys might be saying, Josh, what about that head and shoulders pattern that we got on Nvidia? Well, that's very interesting, and I'm going to take a minute to break down Nvidia for you guys. If you look carefully at the neckline, and you remember what I said every single time I discussed it, is that a head and shoulders pattern gets confirmed when the stock has two candle closes beneath the neckline price. And if you zoom in close to that chart, you realize that it never closed even one full day underneath 409. Every single time it came beneath 409, it popped back up above. We never got two candlesticks beneath 409 confirming the bearish head and shoulders pattern. Now, here's the next question. Are we going to get it? Has it been nullified since we didn't get it and we came all the way back up to the price we recently came back with? No, it hasn't been nullified. And yes, we could come back to 409. And yes, if we do get two candlestick closes beneath 409, then yes, this will capitulate to 384. And so yet again, with Nvidia, we did not get the full confirmation that we needed to begin to short it. But I will give you guys some things in the charts that stood out to me. One, we had the price going up Friday on lower volume. You guys know that that's not very bullish. Our RSI descending trend line has officially broken out, so that's bullish in momentum. However, I'm going to be watching this Monday and Tuesday to see if we break back beneath that descending channel to confirm a longer move down. So I'm keeping an eye on the RSI, and so should you. If we come back and hit the top of that trend line and we bounce with more momentum, then it's an indicator that this thing is just going to go higher, and so be aware of that. Hey guys, I'm going to wrap things up here in a minute. I'm going to give you guys some conclusions and a warning regarding these markets. But before I do, I also want to remind you there might be a couple tickets left for the meet and greet that the Stock Squad has set up in LA on December 2nd. It's right around the corner. This is a charity event. There's a ticket for it. Check out the link in the top pinned comment. You've got Keenan Grace, you've got Stockmo, Larry Jones, and our special guest, Chris Sane. You got the opportunity to meet all 5 of us under one roof for an evening. I hope that you come out and get your ticket right away before they're no longer available. All right, so a couple conclusions on the market. One, if Apple makes its way up to $180 right now, markets are leaning bullish for our next couple days. Be aware of that. Number 2, I want you guys to remember markets don't just go straight up, they stair step, which means that they're going to pump up, they're going to pull back, make that higher low. Be prepared for that. That's going to be your best entry. Don't pile into Apple at $180. Give it a moment to come back and make a stair step so that we can go higher. And then I'm going to give you guys this warning. What could possibly drive Apple back to $169? Well, some news or some event that could cause that VIX to spike and bring fear back into the markets. And that's what I'm expecting. We're still keeping our eye on the VIX to hit 26 before we believe that the markets are going to cool off for the rest of the year. We're keeping an eye on that technical as well. Thank you again for joining me. Thank you for the likes. Make sure you subscribe so you can hear the outcome of these big trades. I still have hopes that I'm going to be able to turn AMD trade into a money maker, but I'll let you guys know how it turns out. Hit that subscribe button to continue to get this update. Thank you guys. Again, peace and blessings. Take care.